to make sure that, I guess, if everyone that's currently on the call, if you can go ahead and find a safe location if you need to, and if you haven't done that already, please do so. If you're driving, pull off the side of the road, anything of that nature, to make sure you're in a safe environment if you're not in an environment of your that you normally vacate. So I'll give about 10 seconds or so for everyone to kind of do their own self level 1 safety. All right. So hopefully everybody's in a safe location. First, go ahead and start off as well. There's something new I kind of wanted to actually start trying to help other folks out who may or may not attend. So I'll kind of, with our agenda here, kind of give you guys the AV notice. So as you kind of can read there and within the actual agenda, this meeting will be recorded, both audio and visually, for publication to the SDS Consortium site. So just please keep that in mind if you for anything that you want to say or will be said. So of course, anybody who has access to the site will actually have access to these recordings as well. So it's going to kind of give you guys the heads up. And of course, I'll say that for pretty much every meeting that's recorded. But of course, the benefits of that is, I guess, trying something new so we can maybe throw it out there on the site somewhere so you guys can access it after the fact in case there's something that may have been forgotten, or for users that you want to point to some of these meetings on discussions that we have, so they can see those without actually having to be here every time. So again, just kind of keep that in mind. Next item on here, one thing that you may or may not have noticed, I did send out a email to everyone that was within the actual committee, P&C committee, on the site. And what you probably would have seen would have been something that said that I sent out a link to the actual meeting request. So just what I mean by that is that, so if you wanted to add a colleague of yours or another user that you want, or they want to have access to this meeting, and instead of them sending me a request through email for every person that wants to be added to this meeting, what I did was I actually saved a forum topic that actually has the meeting information in it, so you can actually point them to this forum within the ACADE group once they get access, and then if they open it up, they can literally click the link that's inside the forum here, and then what that does will actually kick off the ICS, which is actually the meeting invite. Then they can open it, and then once they open the invite, it should automatically load it onto their Outlook. So that way they can go ahead and accept. It'll be up here at the top, either accept, deny, or tentatively. And I believe this is for the whole session, not just one meeting at a time. So this is the whole each monthly meeting request. So if there's anybody you would like to actually add as a colleague of yours that does not currently have it on their calendar, or if you want to actually, they're a part of the actual consortium electrical group already, and just kind of point them to that forum topic, and I'll have the link in there that they can actually add it to there, and I will get a notification once they've actually accepted it if they choose to be in these meetings. So hopefully that will make it a little bit easier for you guys on the back end to kind of get other folks involved within these without having to worry about or kind of funnel all the requests, those type of things. All right. I guess real quickly, is there any questions around any of the topics that I discussed so far, either the AV notice or the meeting information?
Nope.
Okay. All right. So I think one thing that I kind of want to discuss with you guys, and I'll say guys and gals as well. So I'll say you all. It's kind of my vision or on the direction of the committee and the needs and things. I think there was one thing that me and Randy both talked about a little bit before this meeting, was kind of getting a level set of what is the actual mission, or what's the benefits or the things we want to kind of gear ourselves towards. So I kind of put together some key considerations and milestones to kind of work towards. Now, granted, this is my opinion, and of course, I'm throwing it out there for some comment and some feedback. If you guys agree, disagree, want to add something, remove, whatever. But I was kind of trying to keep it at a high level, and then kind of what they mean, and then of course we can kind of dive into the details at a later date. But for right now, these are kind of the ones that I currently have as far as the consideration of milestones. So kind of starting off and kind of keeping it high level, kind of where this meeting is going to start around is kind of the, what is AutoCAD Electrical in its base form. So, what is the actual base product that we're working with and working towards for a utility, solution. Also within that, what are the toolkits and what are they fundamentally, and kind of what the benefits, the features, so forth, so on. So basically, kind of what the core products are that we're kind of molding to what our needs are uniquely for the P&C organization within the utility space. So then, kind of thinking about it from the point of view, once we have these products, in our grasp, let's say, then the next thing I kind of can see it as is, what do I need as far as hardware, software, what type of resources do I need to kind of get this product off the ground? What type of personnel do I need to put in place? So start having those type of discussions. I got a lot of questions from the last consortium meeting around some of these topics, so I was kind of hoping to kind of get into some of those discussions with these meetings. So kind of what do I need to start looking at these products once I acquire them? The next thing will be your management discussion. So how do I actually go to management and talk about your cost, your cost analysis or your return on investment, your added value? So how do you kind of, what are the types of discussions that you want to bring up to your management or your stakeholders or your sponsors to kind of let them know what's the benefits and the pros and cons and the metrics around using AutoCAD Electrical or the toolkits? So then once, assuming that everything goes well, you get your approval, or if you're just looking at it, then, kind of the next thing I kind of see is how to prepare. So once you got it in your company, so how do you prepare documentation standards, how you prepare your organization hierarchy, what type of new or converted positions that you might need to have. So some discussions around that. Then once all that's kind of figured out, then how do we implement? So what does the change management plan kind of look like? What type of challenges has some of the companies who currently have it in their production environment? What type of challenges do they have as far as training is concerned, or lessons learned of what not to do? So hopefully we can help you folks that haven't really gotten it into a production environment yet, or even thinking about putting in production, kind of help alleviate some of those pitfalls that some of the other utilities have gone through and you might want to avoid if all possible. And then, of course, lastly, after this thing is implemented, starting to get used, you're starting to have end users and starting to get feedback. So how do you support this? Troubleshooting, process involvement, so forth, so on. So how do kind of what is some game plans or some thoughts around how to support these products post production? And also, we've got a new 2018 version of ACAD, with Vault as well. So what's the thoughts and theories around getting those new versions incorporated into your existing products? So those, I guess, in my mind, kind of the 6 high-level topics as far as the progression of the adoption of these tools and theories and thoughts and best practices. So I kind of want to give you guys what my vision was as far as what I'm kind of building these meetings towards. It's kind of these 6 high-level positions, and I kind of can see these meetings each month kind of building upon each block a little bit more in detail, especially I think we all decided and agreed upon actually having the beginner discussions kind of around some of this stuff as well. So kind of, again, I did break it up into 2 separate parts. So you got your beginner discussion with kind of your base level beginner users, what the information they might need to know, and then the last 30 is kind of the more advanced stages of you already have it installed, you've been using it for a little while, so how can we better improve on our current product? So So that's kind of, I guess, again, that's kind of my spiel and kind of vision of what I'm working towards with the committee meetings and things. Of course, I kind of, again, want to get you guys' feedback on that as well. If you want to shoot me an email at any point in time, and kind of, just that way, again, we can kind of discuss and kind of get make sure we're all kind of going down the same path, and we kind of have at least some commonality across some thinking and some preparation around the way these meetings could benefit everybody. Really is the whole goal. So with that being said, so I'm trying to keep on my time frame here. I know I'm technically 5 minutes kind of over. So going to get into this, so what is ACADE? So I kind of started with this one as far as, I know we've kind of gone over this at length sometimes, but I want to go ahead and give the benefit of the doubt if any new users might be on the call or you didn't get enough information. I kind of want to give a little bit of time of what the purpose of the substation design is for ACADE. And so, again, I know I got 5 minutes here, but I think it might be more beneficial, I guess, Randy or Big Randy, I'll go ahead and give you the floor if you're ready to go. I don't know if you've got your, I guess, demo or discussion, if you want to discuss some things or share some things.
I am ready to go. If you want to share the screen, what I thought I'd do is just a real short demo and kind of talk about AutoCAD Electrical and the functionality it can be in there, and just go a real high-level overview. For those of you that have seen demos before, obviously AutoCAD Electrical demo can take 90 minutes or so, and I'm going to just show a few highlights down in about 10 minutes of the software. Okay, so basically, the first thing I'll start out with is AutoCAD Electrical is built on top of AutoCAD. It is 100% compatible with AutoCAD, so any DWG files you currently have, legacy data, AutoCAD Electrical can work with that very easily. In addition to that, not only can we just open those drawings and start sucking them into the AutoCAD Electrical projects, but we also have a lot of tools available to help convert those drawings over into intelligent models. So you can take any legacy DWG drawing file and bring it into AutoCAD Electrical and start converting it. You can see in our tool palette across the top, we even have a whole listing of conversion tools that help convert that and work with that process, including block exchanges and so on. So that's the first step. It is AutoCAD. It's built on top of AutoCAD, but we have specific design tools for the electrical design industry straight out of the box with AutoCAD Electrical. And then with the SDS toolkit that is supplied from Spatial Business Systems, SBS, a lot of acronyms going on there. Those tools are designed specifically for the substation design industry. So later on in our meeting today, Nate Holt is going to be talking about some of the new substation design tools, more specific tools. My 10 minutes here is just going to be on base, out of the box, AutoCAD Electrical, just showing a few of the pieces of the core functionality. So the first thing I'll talk about here is on the left-hand side, the project manager groups all of the drawings together into one area, gives it its intelligence. So you can see I'm going to be working with just a couple of the drawings in this area, basically SD00 and 04. In this basic schematic, I already have some of the symbols inserted, and this is the first area that AutoCAD Electrical really helps with, inserting symbols, adding intelligence into the drawing. So in this example, I'm just going to go to the schematic design tool and click on our icon menu. You can see we have a listing here of all of the different tools that are available, components that are available in AutoCAD Electrical. Very well organized, so you don't have to search through cryptic pieces and that kind of thing. And I'm going to pick just a push button. You'll notice that there's a lot of automation built into the software. For example, I can, even though the symbol is coming in horizontally, as soon as I click on a wire, AutoCAD Electrical knows that it's going in a vertical wire, rotates the symbol, and starts filling out the information automatically, giving it unique tag names and so on. Inside of this dialog box, we're working with just standard blocks and attributes. You can see that we now have tools that help us fill out the information. So it eliminates typing and allows you to reuse existing information. For example, in this area, I can do a catalog lookup to find part number information that we're going to assign to this component. Part catalog database is an ASCII or SQL database. It's your choice of which one you want to use. Has around 1 million different part numbers in it, and it's easy to edit and add your own with built-in tools, so you don't have to have extra software with it. once you select the tool or the part number that you want, that information is added into the component as well. You also notice how it trimmed and broke the lines in here. Again, just helping speed up those mundane, boring, repetitive operations you do with AutoCAD Electrical. You can see we have the components inserted. So not just simple components, but we can also insert more complex components, like relays that have subcomponents with them, child relationships, right? Parent and child kind of components. So as I pick on this, you can see I'm inserting a normally closed contact. This is a child contact, so all our job is just to associate it to the parent, and that's going to be this master control relay down at the bottom. And you can see here, I have already inserted 2 contacts into my component. So not only can I associate the pieces together, but AutoCAD Electrical is providing real-time error checking. The part number I selected had only 2 contacts available, and it's already doing the check and warning you that you're using too many contacts with this component. So I can ignore the limit, or I can continue on and insert the component into the dialog box. You can see here's the pin list information being assigned automatically and real-time cross-reference information. So as I pick OK here, child component itself with the cross-reference information showing you that it's at C10, but it also is automatically updating the parent component down here on the bottom, showing me I have 2 contacts on this page and 1 on sheet number 3. So again, it just shows how AutoCAD Electrical can help you with the process of inserting and creating your schematics. And of course, as you look across the tools here, you can see we have tools for adding wires, adding wire numbers. Again, if you have to add those to your components, it can be done quickly and easily compared to the standard AutoCAD type tools where you might put in a string of text and then copy that text around the drawing and then automatically update it. In the case of AutoCAD Electrical, it automatically looks in the drawing for every wire network and automatically applies a wire number to it. So you can see these are all being placed into the drawing, even adding leaders if need be to the component. All right, so that's just what I wanted to show on the schematic. Again, just lightly touching what the schematic piece can do. And of course, we have tools that, whoa, who is that?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, I must have been boring somebody there with this spiel. Oh, that was pretty funny. So that's the schematic kind of tools. And again, there's a lot more to this. If you're really interested in this, just contact resellers, contact us, contract, spatial business systems, any of those people will be happy to help you arrange to get a full-on demo of what the software is. From here, I'm going to move to a panel drawing that I have available, right? So this is where the components would be laid out in a physical kind of form. This happens to be the front panel piece. And another key component of AutoCAD Electrical is its ability to reuse information without having to go back and reorder it. So in this case, just as an example, I could go to my icon menu, just like I did in the schematic, and insert the components that I wanted to put into the panel, limit switches, push buttons, pieces. You'll notice here in the panel piece, I have panel-specific components like DIN rail and enclosures that wouldn't show up on the schematic. But that would be a lot of work. I could associate them together, but an easier tool is just that we have that components already inserted in our drawing or in our project, so I can reuse that information to help build up my my panel layouts as well. So in this case, you'll notice I just selected my substation components. That's the area that I happen to be working in now. And it provides a list of components that are inserted into the schematic that I could now insert into my panel drawings. So you can see here's the couple that we inserted this morning. I put in the system reset, and we have a push button that says the system's ready here as well. So I'll just take the system reset one, set this to 0, and because we associated the manufacturer and the catalog number to the component, Electrical can use that information, look in the footprint tables, and find the matching component to be inserted into our panel drawing. Notice how quick and easily that was. Because it has that catalog and manufacturer information, it can find matching footprints. It's copying all of the information from the parent component and laying it out into the panel. So it's a very easy, quick way of reusing that information, and even the real-time checking is happening. That we have PB2 now has this X in front saying it's already been inserted, and you can see our insert button for the automatic portion is grayed out. So again, part of that error checking that AutoCAD Electrical does in real time while you're designing to help prevent errors such as duplicate components and duplicate part numbers. And finally, one of the big components that I'll show with AutoCAD Electrical is not just the ability to create the drawings and create the layouts, but to extract the information from those drawings and work with that. So for example, I'm going to show two different types of reporting functions here. The first one we're going to create is a panel bill of material report. So I'm going to create a bill of material report just for the components that are laid out on this panel. So I'm going to select Active Drawing and pick OK. Now this extracts all of that part number information that we inserted into the components and creates a bill of material list for you to be placed into the drawing or externally as an external file. So as soon as this completes, we can see here's all of the components. It's totaling them up, so you can see I have 3 of this item. Here's the part number list, the quantity, catalog number, manufacturer, and so on. And I can easily change this report format just by selecting on our change report field and adding and removing components. So for example, I could put a user 1 field in, change its order where I want it located, and even give it a new part number or a new quantity cost value. I could give it a new title if I wanted to, like so. Right? And when I pick OK, there is my new report with the new information that would be available for it. Once you have that report, I can save it out to a file in any of these 5 different formats, Excel, Access, and so on. And this will create it in the format that you see on the screen that you set up behind you, or I can place it onto the drawing as an AutoCAD table. And we can set up the normal pieces, the style, the table, column widths, and so on, picking its insertion point. Some of the cool things that this can do is that we can add this title information to it, but also you'll notice there's 44 lines, and I know that'll run off my drawing if I leave that all in one spot. So let's say we'll set this to maximum of 25 rows, and we'll place the 2 sections we're going to create an inch apart. So automatically, Electrical creates that report table, separates it into 2 separate columns for me, and places the information on the drawing just as you saw it. If you're putting all of your bill of material information, say on 1 or 2 drawings, Electrical would automatically start new drawings as you're working with it as well. So you can see all this information that we applied just from the beginning pieces. One more report that I'll show you that is one of my favorites just because it can show the true power of the information that we're placing into the drawings is a wire from to report, or a wire connection type of report. I'm going to do this one for the project again. And I'm going to select that same small group of drawings, just the substation one, and process that. Now this report's going to come back, and as the title implies, it is a wire from to report. So it's going to give me a list of every wire, the component that it starts from, and where it goes to. These reports usually run a little faster, but I've noticed when I'm working with GoToMeeting, it tends to slow down my processing a little bit. Here you can see the location codes, where the components come from, where they go to. In my case, I'm just going to select all of them. I'll show you a second option here in a minute of how that can be very useful. And here's the listing of the wires that are in my drawing. So as I scan down, you can see I have it sorted by wire number. A lot of these I didn't put wire numbers in, but down in here you can see where I now have wire numbers started. And let's take a quick look at that information. So this wire, wire number 2, starts in panel 4 on component LA, pin number 2, and the other end of the wire is attached to panel 4, same panel in this case, DA4, Z02 is the pin number, and again I have the wire layer at the end. So this could be set up as a wire type information. I don't know if I have it in here. Here's a great example, 39, again same information, but this is a red 18 gauge wire. Okay, very cool information. And again, just like any report in AutoCAD Electrical, if I wanted the order changed, In my case, maybe I want to see all of the wire types first. So that as the person wiring the panel, I know I can just put in all red wires and then move to all black or green or blue or whatever else I might need. And it's giving me all of the information available for creating that wire report. So very detailed, very quick. I'm sure many of you are not creating these reports now simply because of the time involved to create them, even though it really would help your assemblers. And in this case, we can create them almost instantaneously. Another example I'm going to show you is the conduit runs, like the connections between different panels. This report tool makes that very easily. For example, maybe I want to know all of the wires that run into panel number 4. I can select just those options, and it will tell me all of the wires that start and or end in panel 4 because I included both of them into that component. Right, so in some of these cases, these don't have location codes on them, but I know the wire is going to end up in panel 4 and so on. So it can be used greatly to help with creating that wire connection report, so you know exactly the amount of wires you are going to run through a conduit. You start planning your operation this way as well. And these tools, AutoCAD Electrical, also interfaces with the Autodesk Inventor tool, so we can easily incorporate our 2D logical design from the schematic design into the 3D design world and mechanical substructure that we're working on. So that's kind of the end of my time here. I want to keep the stick as close as possible to 10 minutes as well. But I do want to just point out that I only showed you 2 of the report types, and we have more from cables, from to connector summaries, PLC reports. Pretty much if you place the information into the drawing, we can get it out in some kind of a report. And just that there's a lot of different tools to help create the schematic designs, including adding rungs, inserting ladders, and it's highly customizable. So you can create your own symbols using the symbol builder, the icon menu wizard to add icon pieces in, and so on. And finally, just want to remind everyone that this is AutoCAD Electrical is built on top of AutoCAD, so it's 100% compatible with AutoCAD. Everything we're creating and doing are AutoCAD entities, blocks with attributes. And that's it for my portion. So, Jared, if there's any questions, I'll be able to handle them as well.
I can go ahead and give a minute or two if there's anybody got a quick question or anything. All right, Randy. Again, I appreciate your time and expertise around this and being willing to give the demo. I'm pretty sure we'll probably borrow your time again in the future on some other topics as well. So thank you.
So you're very welcome. Anytime I can help.
Okay, so let me get back to my screen here. So, so one thing to Randy's point, this thing is very, adaptable to current AutoCAD, and it's built right on top of it. So a lot of things you currently do today in your normal AutoCAD environment, you more as well can do in the ACAD environment as well. There was a couple quick things I did want to talk about real fast. There's certain things that AutoCAD Electrical does use that we in the utility industry, I think, use a little bit differently than most. Of course, anybody can correct me if I'm wrong, but so one of those things is what they call the WDP file, or the project file, I think it's officially called in the out-of-the-box product. So that's kind of more or less your file that binds all your drawings together as the glue, or it basically keeps everything. It's kind of the master of all the drawings, which are kind of the children of that. So I think out of the box, the way they kind of explain it, and I know initially when starting at Duke, when we were trying to think around the WDP file and the usage, my past experience has been it's always been kind of used as a per project basis. So it literally was used as it's described as a project file. But with utilities being very unique in the sense of that we are our own customers 99% of the time. So we archive these drawings for many decades. So we had to kind of think about the WDP file in a little bit different method. So one method that we chose to use, and I believe the majority of all the other users that's currently using AutoCAD Electrical today do something similar. I'll just kind of show you the vault current state. So we basically, for the WDP file, we have all the corresponding station drawings. So that way, if you make any modifications, changes, or anything of that nature, it has to Randy's point, where that cross communication between drawing types, you can have those auto updates and those auto triggers to make updates. But if you broke up, like say 10 drawings in this WDP and then 10 more in this other WDP separately as kind of out of the box method or workflow kind of is set up, those links or those communications do not happen. So I kind of wanted to let you guys aware, the one that may or may not know, that the WDP file, the way we manage that currently, at least for us at Duke anyways, is that we actually have the WDP file as what we call quote unquote our station file. So it's kind of the station information, the station location, code, station number, all that information stored in that WDP file, along with all the corresponding drawings for that station. So if there's 1,000 drawings in that station, they're all housed under that one WDP and then worked on as per project basis from that point. But then all the users still share the same WDP across the user base. So that was kind of one, I guess, methodology that's a little bit different than what out of the box is, that we kind of found out that is a little different, that we have to be able to manage. And AutoCAD Electrical still gives us the ability to manage it very well, but it's kind of using the out of the box file a little differently than what, I guess I'd say quote unquote unintended, but it may have been intended at some point in time. Another thing that was kind of on the Delta side of things, if I double check my notes here, was I think there's one thing that I know that's kind of dear to Randy's heart, I know, but I'm not trying to bash it or anything, but there's a thing called a circuit builder, which basically builds out your circuits based upon your selections. Of course, I can kind of see that in the future as something that you can use on a more complex basis, like bigger chunks of things. So if you have bigger chunks of standards and those type of things, that might be something that you can utilize if you haven't seen it yet. But it's basically, I think it's an Excel file that you can build a bunch of templates within and have different selections to bring in those chunks of standards into a drawing or anything of that nature. So the one difference that we started doing, at least here at Duke, and I think a lot of other utilities started to adopt as well, was that we started building our standards as regular DWG templates, kind of very similar to what we do today. With the one caveat or the one difference of that is that the way that we interact with it is more from the material side of things, which basically is the catalog lookup or the catalog browser. We utilize that methodology, so we go and look for the actual material item and then select the material item which has the standard or the grouping of components together, already put together for the user. And it's kind of more, right now we're kind of have it heavily geared towards the what we started coining as the circuit module. So anything that's a circuit module is a single material item that's ordered as a material quantity of one. So SELs are a good example of that. So you have your power supply and all your contacts, but we build that as a circuit and say it as a WD file. Then they select it and all of it comes in, and then that gives the end user the ability to go in and basically modify it as needed per project. So it's kind of some of the differences between what we started calling the standard building standard templates versus using that out of the box circuit builder as of right now. Like I said, the circuit builder in my vision might be very useful down the road when we start getting big chunks of things and start putting in more complex, like break and a half schemes or adding a feeder or something of that nature down the road. Just kind of more high level standards. And lastly, one thing I want to talk about real quickly, so I can give Nate some time to go through some things, is that we started using Vault as well for not only tracking drawings and DWP files, but also for tracking and managing our content. So I mean by content, so for example, I have our Vault open. Here's all of our actual parts and pieces, so all our schematic stuff. I like, as far as I know, or as far as my knowledge goes, I believe we were at Duke, or I was initially actually one of the first ones to think about doing it this way. I could be wrong with that, but I guess I'll like to take credit if I can on it. But I know way back in 2011, I think it was, we started thinking about, or I started thinking about around why couldn't AutoCAD Electrical start using some of the abilities and things around the content that Vault has, or I'm sorry, Inventor has a lot of usage around, and they have a lot of control over parts and content and pieces and this type of thing. So one thing we started doing a little bit differently, again, that's different than out of the box, or that's a delta from what the initial install, is also utilizing the vault not only for storing drawings, but also storing parts and pieces of our drawings, and be able to manage those by using revisioning and all those type of things, and making sure that the users get the latest and most up-to-date content available for download. So in a nutshell, what it really does is we store and manage everything in Vault. The end user will download a copy of all this release documentation, so anything that is in a work-in-progress state will not get downloaded. So that keeps them from getting things that aren't approved, let's say. And then also, a big saving of the thing is that the end user, again, is still working from their C drive, so you don't have to worry about any networking or speed issues, because Vault is smart enough to actually know what parts and pieces have been modified versus what's on your C drive, so you only download the second time of what's modified versus the first time. So you're not bringing in all 10,000 pieces again. You're kind of getting the 15 that might modify between the first time and the second time. So it's kind of another way that we're using these tools a little bit differently than maybe they were initially designed for. Again, like I said, I might be wrong, but I have seen currently that some of the Autodesk guys are starting to kind of think about this methodology for some of the ACAD stuff going forward. We're seeing at least some conversations around it, so it seems like it's kind of catching on as far as getting some thoughts around this. It seems like, I know that for our stuff at Duke, it definitely helped out in management and managing the content for the end user. So real quickly, I'll go and stop there. Like I said, I want to make sure I give Nate enough time. So I'll leave real quick. Are there any questions as far as anything that I went over real quickly, or anything that, again, that Randy might be able to answer? Again, if you guys can't think of anything to ask right now, of course, always please email me, and I'll make sure that those questions get to who they need to get to if you think of something after the meeting. Okay. All right, Mr. Holtz, are you ready to go, or?
Sure, I think so. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, great. Okay, thanks, Jared. Thanks.
No problem.
Okay. Let me find the right screen here.
There we go.
Okay, what I'm going to do is just go over some of the new features and bug fixes that we're preparing for the next release. Now, it's in the beta right now, so I know some of you brave folks are actually using the beta for evaluation. So as we make fixes and add new features, you guys see that pretty much immediately. Let me just go through a short list of things that we've been working on. We expect our next release to be sometime this summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, be this coming winter if you're in the Southern Hemisphere. And I don't have a date, but we're continuing to work here. So let me show you the first thing. I had a request from a user. We've added a new feature, onboard, outboard versus inboard, as far as the wire numbers are concerned on the annotation generation. So currently, this is a default where here's the test switch. I've annotated it. The destination for each wire connection is shown closer to the wire connection point than any non-blank wire number. We had one customer that wanted that reversed, wanted the wire number to always show up. If there was a wire number displayed, it needed to show up first and then the destination. So we've added that feature, and you now control that from the annotation dialog in your current shipping version 7.1 or 7.0, which is what you have now. There's just a yes and no button, but now we've added this pull down where this first entry is the equivalent of no. Do not add non-blank wire numbers to the annotation. And then we have two other options. Yes, I want the wire number first and then the tag, or option 3, I want the tag and then the wire number. So let's just go back and look at that. So this would be the second option. I want the tag and wire number outboard. And this one would be reversed. I want the wire, if there's a non-blank wire number first, I want that to show up, and then destination at the other end. Okay, another thing we've done is we're adding a new tool called Pin Surf. It's kind of like Surf, but you can pick on a terminal pin number of a device. For example, here I've selected a wiring diagram representation of a Schweitzer relay. And I just want to see connection BO2. Show me where that's used in the schematic. Show me where that's, show me where it shows up. Prior to this, if I would right click and surf on this relay, I might get, I think on my next slide I actually show, I could get 30, 40, 50 references to that particular pin number. Well, it's because it's giving me everything on that relay. So I have to go searching for that particular pin number BO2, and I could find it, but it's kind of a pain. I gotta look for it in this list, right? I forget where it is, but it's in here somewhere. But now with our pin surf ability, or our new tool that we're adding in the beta, and it will appear in the upcoming releases, if you pick right on the text, right on the pin number text, it will automatically filter and just show you that pin number in the list. So here's the pin number right here. Here's the pin number on the wiring diagram, and then the pin numbers on the where it shows up on the schematic. So I have one reference on drawing 314, and then a reference only version also on 314. I'm going to talk about reference only here in a little bit. Okay, moving on. Let's go to the next slide here. Okay, the sim toggle tool is now supports flipping parent-child cable markers between parent and child. So maybe you popped in your cable markers, you have a parent, child, 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 and really you want to reverse it. So you can use the sim toggle tool, click, boom, it'll flip that child to a parent. Click on this parent, boom, flips it to a child. So it just makes it, so you don't have to delete it and reinsert the right one. You just pick on it and flip it. All right, the next thing is on your wiring diagram, sometimes, or we had a customer wanted to see the actual wire number, kind of like they wanted to make it look like it was on the schematic. So they want to have a smart wire number tied on the wiring diagram annotation. So we've added that, the new tool here. And then if you update the schematic, change the wire number in the schematic, then you can tell it to update the wiring diagram, and then this will follow the wire number that's on the schematic. All right, next one, polyline jumpers on wiring diagrams. This is pretty neat. Here's some kind of a manual switch. And this switch has, on the left-hand side is the current shipping version, what it would look like, the annotation. So I have a couple wires tied to this common point here, and a couple wires tied to this common point here on contact 1 and contact 2. And if you look at the annotation, you see that one of the wires on contact 1, or this contact here, it says it's jumpering to pin 2C, which is right here. In other words, there's a jumper actually right here between 1C and 2C, the way it's been created on the schematic elementaries. And I also have another one here. Here's one. This one jumps to J2C as well. So 5C jumps to J2C. So you can see all the annotation here. Now what we've done in the beta is if you draw a polyline wire, just a polyline, continuous polyline from here to here, and a polyline from here to here, rerun the annotation, it will automatically update the annotation and remove those no longer needed jumper references. So here we've lost our jumper to J2C, and we've lost it up here back to to 1C, because we have this polyline drawn between the wire connections on this wiring diagram representation. And same thing down here. Here I drew another polyline down here, and so it kind of cleaned up. Anyway, that's another feature in the beta. You can use the same feature to draw, if you wanted to, I don't know if you want to or not, but here's two test switches And they do have wiring that passes between the two test switches. So this test switch basically is daisy chaining from the previous test switch to this test switch to this test switch. So you have all this annotation. But maybe it would be more convenient if your users or if the wireman could see it drawn like this. You actually want to show the jumpers just to keep it simple. So if you draw these as polylines, then AutoCAD or then SDS, when you run the annotation tool, it will automatically remove the daisy chained annotation. So let me go back and show you this. Here's the original. You're going to polylines, a set of 4 polylines between these two. Rerun the annotation and boom, out it comes. All right, next one. Here's an example where we had a user, the way he drew this switch, he really needed to pull all the annotation out to the extremity of the symbol. So he's got these two rows of contacts. So you have these internal connections that really you need to bring out to show the annotation. Well, the current version of SDS only supports a single bent leader coming out to annotation. So you can have a straight shot, and then you can have one more that's bent. So we really needed to have the ability to have 2 bent. So here's how you do it over here, illustrated on the right-hand side. This is an exploded version of this particular pin 3C on this contact. So you have your normal X1 terminal 6 in this case, the common point, and you have your normal wire NO06A, which is standard. And now you can have a wire NO6B, actually a third annotation if you want to. And you just add, for the bend point, you use the term 06B as the bend point. So it's going to draw the first leader like this. And if there's a second piece of annotation, it's going to draw like this. So wherever you place these attributes right here is the bend point for this leader. So that's now supported in the beta, and watch for it in the next release. Okay, we also have a dual tag mode support. This is something that's been requested, I think, several times. This is where you would have, and let me just show. Well, this is where you would have. You want to have on your wiring. I think I have it right here. So on my wiring diagram, for example, right here, on this test switch, on the schematics, on the elementaries, this is called test switch RTS-1. But on the wiring diagram, I want to have an alias shorthand. I want to call it QA. And maybe this relay, the Schweitzer relay 351A, it's really called 11/T1BU for transformer number 1. But on the wiring diagram, I want to have a short version. I'm going to call it Q. Now, what we had to do prior to this new beta version is you had to decide what you wanted to go with. You either need to call everything, for example, the test switch, you had to call it QA on your schematics and on your wiring diagrams, or you had to call it RTS-1 on your schematics and on your wiring diagrams. The problem is on the wiring diagrams, with a longer name, it just gets kind of messy in the annotation. But now we can break them apart. So we can have one tag that's used for schematics, and then the alias used on wiring diagrams. So I'm actually going to demo this, okay? So right now I have annotation based upon the standard way that you guys see it now if you're running the normal shipping product. So this test switch right here, all these connections right here are going up to Q. So they're landing on Z01 through Z0 whatever. So you see them landing right here, I guess. Now, I'm going to go ahead and flip this to this new mode. So let me run the annotation tool. And this new mode is right here. This is what we've added to the UI. So here's the default for shipping version 7.0 and before. The beta is going to also allow you to flip it to use an attribute called mount. This is a standard AutoCAD electrical attribute that's not really used very much. And we're going to take advantage of using the mount attribute. So this QA is on the attribute called mount. This attribute down here, RTS-1, is on the normal P_tag1 attribute that you would normally use on a wiring diagram symbol. So we have them both. We have the mount and the regular tag name. So I'm just going to go ahead and run the annotation using mount if it's not blank. So I hit OK. I'm just going to pick these two guys and watch what happens here. Now my luck, the thing's going to blow up because whenever I do a demo, it seems like bad things happen, but okay, there it worked, great. Okay, so see it's substituted Q's down here for this guy, for 11/T1BU, and it's substituted QA for RTS-1. So you can have your cake and eat it too. You can have both modes operational. All right, let me go back to the PowerPoint because we only have a few minutes remaining here. Let's see what else we can get in. Okay, this one, okay, we already talked about that. Okay, we've made some more enhancements to the rollover tool. You hit the rollover tool and you just start rolling over stuff, and now it will display reference only versus master if they're on the same drawing. So here I've tied this contact down here, A13, A14. This is the real contact in the circuitry. And here up in the Schweitzer relay representation, this is just a reference only version. So when I roll over it, it actually shows me, draws a little dashed line between them and say, here, you just rolled over the master. I guess I was down here. I rolled over the master, and here's the reference only version. So it kind of gives you a visual link. It's a nice quick check. Also, in the reference only versus master, now if you edit the master, it will check to see if there's any reference only versions in the project, and if there are, it'll prompt you for permission to update the reference only to now match your edited master. So that's what this is right here. And then there's a few other fixes and enhancements we've made. DREF tool will now display this drawing if it's on the same sheet. If both ends are on the same sheet, it gives you the option to display this drawing for the reference. And we already talked about this one. We talked about this one. I think this one's important. This may be, with SDS, we were able to figure out a way to make AutoCAD Electrical Surfer tool work as if it were in MDI mode, which makes it so much nicer. So we have that now working in AutoCAD Electrical versions 2015 through 2018. So this should really say 2018 right here. Okay, and we've made some enhancements to the Scoot tool and a few other things. So I think I've used up my time. We have 5 minutes left. Jared, I'm going to turn it back to you, okay?
Thank you, Nate. Appreciate the explanation. I'm pretty sure there's going to be some more, I guess, demos in the future as well on things I'm pretty sure you guys are working on.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right. So I guess I'll leave a couple minutes. Is there any questions for Nate on anything he showed so far?
I just think that's awesome that you get the option to update the reference. when you have a master that you make an edit to. That was one of the things that I really wanted, and I appreciate that, Nate.
There's one thing that we were not able to do. You can't use right-click, or currently you can't use right-click on a component, edit it, and then have it do this check. You actually have to pick it from the SDS ribbon. You have to pick the edit component. But I think Randy Burnett, and maybe I'm putting words in his mouth here, but I think he's going to show me how to get around that. He's going to hopefully show me how I can do a right-click and actually call the SDS version of edit component instead of the AutoCAD electrical version.
That'd be great.
Hey Nate, how you doing? Freddie McAllister.
Yes,
I was
sir.
wondering, that reference tool is a great tool, but the one thing that I would like to see in there, okay, yeah, you can reference what's on drawing, but maybe can we get it to where it pulls up a dialogue for something that's off sheet to where we can surf to that? Is there a way to get it to do that?
Okay, the reference only does work across the whole project. So if you had a device on one drawing and the reference only was on some other drawing in the project, you know, it'll list it. But yeah, we do not have a, I see what you're saying. You'd like to see, I don't know if you can still see my screen or not. But
No,
I think you
I
probably,
can switch it back over if I need to.
all right, yeah, let's do it.
There we go.
Let me make sure
Yeah.
Okay, show my screen, okay. So if you can see my screen now, I'm thinking what you would like to see, you know, when the reference only pops up, you'd like to be able to highlight an entry here and then hit a
Can you go back? Can you go back to the slide where you were showing it on screen? Where you were showing the reference? You just missed it.
I think it was 17. I think it was 17.
17.
Oh, this one, okay.
Okay, right there you hit the reference button.
Mhm.
You've got the reference up there. You got the reference there for that contact on that drawing. What I like to see is maybe like a pull down table that comes out to show you references on other sheets. Is there any way to do that?
Um,
And
well,
be
yeah,
able to surf to it.
yeah, and surf to it too. Okay, well let me put this down as a, maybe we can work some magic and show you in the next meeting. Yeah, that would be great. That would be that's a good idea, being able to do that.
I'm assuming, Frederick, like, and there's a lot of things that I know that our Midwest organization does where they show a lot of those reference stuff off other sheets. So I know I can see where what you're saying would be beneficial.
Yeah, that would greatly benefit them.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right. Now let me just say that in the regular surfer dialog, let me see, I think I have, yeah, in the regular surfer dialog, it will show you, for example, I'm surfing on this particular Schweitzer relay. It will show you the reference, it's going to show you the reference only instances of other things across the whole project related to that relay. So this may be close to what you were asking for on this rollover tool. We may have that ability already in the surfer tool, in the surfer dialog.
Well, you know, I was just thinking about if we can do it without having to go to the surfer tool, if we could have it in that reference tool itself.
Okay.
To where you didn't have to go to the surfer tool, and you could still surf those references out.
All right. We'll take a look at that. That is a good idea. That's valid.
Okay. Well, thanks, Frederick, for your question. And I guess enhancement recommendation all at the same time.
Yeah.
So to continue, it's like, again, trying to be mindful of time. Of course, just like what Frederick kind of did, and I think as a little bit of homework for everybody that's on the call and may not be on the call but want to discuss with your colleagues, I think I have on here kind of discuss some new features that you would like to probably have or enhancements that you would like to also add to these SBS toolkits. And then, of course, if you can either send those to Nate or myself or both or whatnot, we will make sure that we try to get those either for discussion that's necessary, or maybe, again, Nate could probably take those and kind of build some preliminary or beta versions of those to kind of help, kind of put some of the thoughts into life. Of course, Nate, assuming you have, the time and resources to do such. I know that those are commodities that don't come easily sometimes.
Yep.
So I guess real quickly, I know it's already one pass. Again, I don't want to keep you longer than I have to. Just as a FYI, there are current documents or standard documents that are out there, not really out there, but are ready for review and comment. The ones that we have currently ready to go, I think from the last couple meetings that we had way back when, were pinless codes and family codes. So I believe those are already sitting in a queue ready, and I don't believe they have been actually viewed by the actual leadership committee yet. So my plan is to go ahead and move those to that queue for them to look it over in the near term. Of course, if you guys have the time, I believe they're actually out there on the buddy drive currently. So if you guys want to take the time to go out and look those over once over real fast, just to make sure if there's any type of really some questions around those or any type of things we might need to add or modify prior to doing that, please let me know. Before I would say I'll probably plan on pushing it back in front of them in the next couple weeks. So maybe sometime before the 4th of July weekend or somewhere around there, if you can give me a comment if you see anything that we might need to look at prior to that. Also as well, existing workflows. I don't know if they're out in the buddy drive yet, and I guess Randy or Praveen, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I know the two, I think, Randy, you sent me, one was jumpers and the other was pinless symbol creation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're not out there.
Okay. So maybe that might be something we can go ahead and throw out there for comment for this group to kind of look it over and get comment if need be.
Okay.
And on here, what I have for kind of staying with the workflow method, there was one creation of actually taking what Praveen's done, more or less, and then actually building out an SEL from that, for example, which I know that I started on a couple months ago that I have no problem sharing as well. There's also another one I have here, maybe a copy design workflow, so maybe Randy, you or Praveen or somebody if you guys might want to put one of those together. So I know you guys kind of started doing that copy design methodology on standards.
Involved, yeah.
Yes, yeah. So maybe, if you don't mind, I'm just thinking, again, I have any other suggestions from anybody else on the phone. Not that you have to say it right now, but, just kind of be thinking about what some other topics that you would like to see some best practices on. So we can start building those documents and start getting that library built up for use or for reference. And also real quickly, lastly, the new and needed standards. So I believe the last thing we talked about in spring was some engineering calculations. So a lot of those calculations, I started noticing that they all rely on some type of rating value. So in my opinion, I think we kind of started with it a little bit. I can't remember off the top of my head, but I believe that the one thing that we might want to start discussing as far as a new standard around for this committee to kind of discuss around would be what the rating definitions are. So what I mean by that, if you don't know, is the rating attributes that are applied to all the parts and pieces that are being built. If we can come together and all agree upon that rating 1 for an auxiliary relay type of device will always be voltage, or and rating 2 be current and whatever. So those type of all those needed calculations or rating calcs, if we can kind of come together and all agree upon what depending on the device type and then the rating definition, so that way we can come up with a standard so at the end of the day when we request or ask Nate and SBS and them guys to start building us some engineering calculations in these toolkits, I'm pretty sure, Nate, you'll appreciate this. We all have a common attribute to pull from.
That'd be helpful. Yep.
So I think as long as we can, the more we can do on our end, will better simplify and get us those tools more quickly down the line. So I think that's kind of what I have in my head as far as the next new one that we might want to be talking about in more detail in the next coming meetings. And of course, I'm open to anything else anybody else would want to suggest as far as any new or needed standards that we need to come up that we would like to come up with from this committee meetings as well. So with that, that's kind of pretty much all I had. I know there's a lot to go through within an hour. again, I'm trying to keep this around an hour or so, and I guess in this meeting I'll come out with another agenda, push those out, but hopefully trying to stay within the same realms that again with the 6 boxes that I pulled up before. One thing I will suggest, or will let you know ahead of time, I do plan on sending out another survey with these particular topics, and also ask what new ones we might want to add. So that way, again, I can start building those agendas to be more custom tailored to what we want to see as a group. So I'll be sending that out in the near couple weeks as well. And also, real quickly, is there anybody from Empirical on this call? I think there's 2 folks on here, I see. Cyrus and, I guess, Randall? Is that it? You might be on mute.
Probably scrambling to find the unmute button.
Anyway, I don't think I can hear you, but if you can hear me, basically, I'm getting a lot of email errors from some of your guys in your organization. Seems like the email addresses may be wrong. So if one of you can probably figure out or ask who hasn't gotten these meeting requests and would like to be on those, if you guys can let me know or show them where is in the forum that they can add themselves, because I know that was some of the individuals from Empirical, I was getting some email notifications on my end that it did not go through because of the email address was incorrect or somewhere around that nature. So if you can let them know, that might be the reason why they haven't seen any of these. So if you can hear me, that's kind of what's needed that I noticed. So with that, real quickly, is there any additional comments or questions or statements anyone might want to add?
Frederick, I just want to thank Nate, but just tell him we'd like to see him come back. I have plenty more ideas that we can improve this tool with. You know,
Sounds good.
Just got to get back into it. So.
Awesome.
All right.
All right. I appreciate everybody's time. Thank you for taking time out your day to come in and do this, and also all the presenters that presented. Thank you as well for taking your time and to show everyone what's going on and all the new stuff. So with that, I hope everybody has a good afternoon, and I will save this recording and have it available for viewing it soon, and I'll make sure that everybody gets notified once it's available. So with that, again,
right.
Y'all have a good afternoon and appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jared. Have a great day.
Bye.